The night of the disguise. The rain had already started when Armin Qureshi realized his life was about to change forever. He stood in front of the small mirror in his apartment, staring at the reflection that didn't quite feel like him yet. The dim yellow light flickered above, casting uncertain shadows across the room. On the bed behind him lay a carefully arranged set of clothes, a black wig, a dark red dress, long stockings, and a pair of modest heels. Armin swallowed hard. Just for tonight, he whispered to himself. He had never imagined he would be doing something like this. Not in a million years. But desperate situations demanded desperate decisions. The problem. 3 days earlier, Armin had accidentally witnessed something he shouldn't have. Armin worked as a junior accountant at Silver Crest Logistics, a company that appeared respectable on the outside but had secrets buried deep in its ledgers. Late one evening, while reconciling financial records, he noticed something strange, millions of rupees being transferred through shell accounts. At first, he assumed it was a mistake. But curiosity pulled him deeper. The transactions led to a name whispered around Karachi's underground circles, Kamal Siddiqui, a powerful businessman rumored to control a large smuggling network. Armin's hands trembled as he realized what he had found. Evidence. Evidence of money laundering and criminal activity. He copied the files onto a flash drive, thinking he would anonymously send them to the authorities. But someone had already noticed. The warning. The first warning came the next morning. A black SUV followed him from his office to his apartment building. 2 men inside. Watching. Waiting. Then came the phone call. A deep voice spoke slowly. Delete what you found. Armin's heart nearly stopped. I don't know what you're talking about, he stammered. The caller chuckled. You're not a good liar, Armin. The line went dead. That night, someone tried to break into his apartment. That was when Armin understood. He had 2 choices. Run, or disappear. The plan. His best friend Sanaa Malik came up with the plan. Sanaa worked as a makeup artist for theater productions. She had spent years transforming actors into completely different people. When Armin explained the situation, she thought for a long time. Then she said something unexpected. You need a disguise. A disguise? Armin asked. Yes. Something no one will suspect. She looked at him carefully, then smiled. Tonight, you're going to become someone else. The transformation. Now Armin stood in front of the mirror, still unsure. Sanaa adjusted the wig on his head. There, she said proudly. Perfect. Armin barely recognized himself. The makeup softened his features. The wig framed his face naturally. The dress fit surprisingly well. You look like a completely different person, Sanaa said. Armin laughed nervously. That's the idea, right? Exactly. She handed him a small purse. Inside was the flash drive containing the evidence. You need to get this to the journalist tonight, Sanaa said. He'll expose everything. Armin nodded. The meeting location was a crowded nightclub downtown, Velvet Pulse. In a place filled with loud music and flashing lights, no one would notice one more stranger. Especially not one disguised like this. The first steps. Walking in heels was harder than Armin expected. Every step felt unnatural. He pulled his coat tighter around himself as he stepped out into the rainy Karachi night. Cars splashed through puddles on the street. Neon signs flickered across wet pavement. Armin's heart pounded. Was the disguise convincing? Would anyone recognize him? He hailed a taxi. The driver glanced in the mirror but said nothing. 20 minutes later, the taxi stopped outside Velvet Pulse. The club pulsed with music even from the outside. Crowds lined up near the entrance. Armin took a deep breath. This is insane, he muttered. But he stepped out anyway. Inside the club. The music inside was deafening. Lights flashed purple and blue across the dance floor. People laughed, danced, and shouted over the music. Armin scanned the crowd nervously. The journalist he was supposed to meet had sent a message earlier. Back corner table. 10:30. Armin checked the time. 10:28. 2 minutes. He slowly moved through the crowd. No one paid him any attention. In fact, several people smiled politely as he passed. It was strange, liberating, and terrifying at the same time. Then he saw the table. A man in a gray jacket sat alone, checking his phone. That had to be him. Armin approached carefully. "Are you?" Before he could finish, the man looked up suddenly. His face turned pale. "Don't sit down," the journalist whispered urgently. Armin froze. "What? You were followed." Armin's stomach dropped. The journalist leaned closer. "They're already inside the club." Armin felt a chill run down his spine. "Who?" The journalist nodded toward the entrance. Armin slowly turned his head. And saw them. The same 2 men from the black SUV. Standing near the door. Scanning the crowd. Looking for him. The discovery. One of the men pulled out a phone and showed a picture to the other. Armin's heart stopped. It was his photo. Without the disguise. But the second man frowned. He looked confused. His eyes moved slowly across the dance floor. Searching. Then. His gaze stopped. Right on Armin. The man narrowed his eyes. For a moment, it seemed like the disguise had worked. Then the man started walking toward him. Slowly. Deliberately. Armin's hands began to shake. The journalist whispered urgently. "Run." But before Armin could move, the club's music suddenly stopped. The lights flickered. And someone screamed. Armin turned just in time to see the second man pulling something from his jacket. A gun. And it was pointed straight at the journalist. Cliffhanger. The journalist grabbed Armin's wrist and shouted. "Get down." A gunshot exploded through the club. The lights went out. And in the darkness, Armin realized something horrifying. The man with the gun was now searching for him. And this time, he might already know the disguise. The gunshot echoed through the nightclub like thunder. For a split second, the entire room froze. Then chaos erupted. People screamed. Chairs crashed. Glass shattered. The dance floor turned into a panicked stampede as dozens of clubgoers rushed toward the exits. Armin felt the journalist yank his arm downward. "Get down," he shouted again. They both dropped behind the small corner table just as another gunshot cracked through the darkness. A bullet smashed into the wall above them. Armin's heart slammed violently against his ribs. This was no longer just about disguises and secret meetings. This was life or death. Darkness and panic. Emergency lights flickered on, bathing the club in dim red illumination. The DJ booth was empty. Smoke drifted from the bar where shattered bottles spilled across the counter. Armin crouched behind the table, shaking. What do we do?" he whispered. The journalist looked tense but focused. "Stay low." Another shot fired. A woman screamed somewhere near the dance floor. Armin dared to peek over the edge of the table. One of the gunmen was pushing through the terrified crowd, scanning faces. The other man stood near the entrance, blocking the exit. They were trapping everyone inside. "Why are they doing this?" Armin whispered. The journalist looked straight at him. "Because of what's in your purse." Armin instinctively clutched the purse tighter. The flash drive. The evidence. If those men got it, everything would be over. A dangerous realization. The gunman near the entrance shouted something to his partner. The music system crackled with feedback. "Everyone stay where you are," the man yelled. But the crowd wasn't listening. People continued pushing toward the emergency exits. The second gunman fired another shot into the ceiling. That stopped everyone instantly. The silence was terrifying. Then the man said something that made Armin's blood run cold. "We're looking for a man named Armin Qureshi." Armin's stomach twisted. The gunman held up his phone again. On the screen was Armin's photo. Without the disguise. "If anyone sees this man," the gunman continued, "you will tell us immediately." People in the crowd began nervously looking around. Armin slowly sank lower behind the table. The journalist leaned close. "Your disguise bought us time," he whispered. "But not much." "The plan. What do we do?" Armin asked again. The journalist thought quickly. "There's a back exit near the kitchen," he said quietly. "How do you know?" "I've met sources here before." Armin peeked around the table again. The gunman at the entrance was still watching the crowd. But the second one was moving closer, row by row. Checking faces. "Listen carefully," the journalist said. "When I say go, we move toward the kitchen door." "What about them?" "I'll distract them." Armin's eyes widened. "You'll get shot." The journalist gave a grim smile. "That's my job." Before Armin could argue, the journalist stood up suddenly. "Hey," he shouted. Both gunmen turned instantly. The journalist pointed toward the dance floor. "There. I saw him run that way." The gunmen reacted immediately. They pushed through the crowd toward the direction he pointed. The distraction worked. "Go," the journalist whispered. The escape attempt. Armin moved fast. Faster than he thought possible in heels. He slipped through the crowd, heart racing. Every second felt like it might be his last. He reached the hallway leading to the kitchen. The music from the club faded behind him. The hallway was dim and smelled of grease and smoke. The kitchen door swung open. Inside, cooks and staff were hiding behind counters. "What's happening?" one chef asked. "No time," Armin whispered. "Back exit?" The chef pointed toward a metal door near the freezer. "Over there." Armin rushed toward it. His hand grabbed the handle. He pushed the door open. And froze. Standing in the alley outside was the black SUV. And leaning against it was Kamal Siddiqui himself. Face to face. Kamal Siddiqui looked exactly like the rumors described. Tall. Calm. Dangerous. He was dressed in a perfectly tailored suit despite the rain. Two more men stood beside him. Armin's heart nearly stopped. Kamal slowly removed his cigarette and smiled. "Well," he said quietly. "That disguise is impressive." Armin felt the world spin. He knew. Kamal stepped closer. "Did you really think a wig and dress would fool me?" Armin tried to back away. But the kitchen door slammed shut behind him. Kamal's men moved forward. Blocking the alley. Blocking the only exit. Kamal extended his hand. "Give me the flash drive." Armin clutched the purse tightly. "If you don't," Kamal continued calmly, "my men inside will start shooting again." Armin's breathing became shallow. The sounds of panic still echoed from the club. People inside were still trapped. Kamal tilted his head. "You're not just risking your life anymore," he said softly. "You're risking theirs." A bold move. Armin's mind raced. If he gave Kamal the flash drive, everything would be lost. But if he didn't, people inside might die. Kamal stepped closer. Last chance. Armin slowly opened the purse. Kamal smiled. Good choice. But instead of handing over the flash drive, Armin suddenly threw the purse straight at Kamal's face. Then he turned and ran. The alley exploded with shouting. "Stop him!" Armin sprinted through the rain. His heels splashed through puddles. Behind him, footsteps pounded against the pavement. Kamal's men were chasing him. And they were getting closer. The terrifying end. Armin turned a corner into a narrow street. The rain poured harder. He slipped. And crashed to the ground. Pain shot through his ankle. He tried to stand. But a shadow fell over him. One of Kamal's men grabbed his arm violently. Got you. The man ripped the wig off Armin's head. Rain soaked his hair instantly. The man grinned. Well, it really is you. Armin struggled desperately. But the second man arrived. And then Kamal slowly walked toward them. Clapping slowly. I must admit, Kamal said calmly. That was entertaining. He crouched in front of Armin. You caused me a lot of trouble. Kamal held out his hand again. Now give me the flash drive. Armin looked up at him. Then slowly smiled. Kamal frowned. Why are you smiling? Armin answered quietly. Because, it's already too late. Kamal's eyes narrowed. What do you mean? At that exact moment. Police sirens exploded in the distance. Red and blue lights flashed at the end of the street. Kamal's expression changed instantly. And Armin realized something terrifying. The police weren't coming for Kamal. They were coming. For him. Cliffhanger. A police car screeched to a stop beside them. Officers jumped out with guns raised. Everyone freeze. But instead of looking at Kamal, the police pointed their guns directly at Armin. And one officer shouted. Armin Qureshi, you are under arrest for murder. Armin's mind went blank. Murder? He had never killed anyone. So why were the police arresting him? Rain poured heavily over the narrow street as flashing police lights painted the walls red and blue. Armin sat frozen on the wet pavement. Murder, he whispered. Two police officers rushed forward and grabbed his arms, pulling him to his feet. Hands behind your back, one officer ordered. Cold metal handcuffs snapped around his wrists. Armin looked desperately toward Kamal Siddiqui. Kamal stood a few feet away, calm and composed, watching the scene unfold like a spectator enjoying a play. Armin's heart sank. Something was very wrong. The arrest. Wait. Armin shouted. You're making a mistake. One officer pushed him toward the police car. Save it for the station. Armin struggled. You don't understand. That man. He pointed toward Kamal. He's the criminal. He's the one running the operation. The officers didn't even glance in Kamal's direction. Instead, the lead officer turned to Kamal respectfully. Sorry for the disturbance, sir. Armin's eyes widened. Sir? Kamal gave a polite nod. No problem, officer. I was just passing through when the shooting started. Armin felt the ground disappear beneath him. Kamal slowly looked at Armin. And smiled. The shocking news. Armin was shoved into the back of the police car. Rain streaked across the window as the door slammed shut. The police car started moving. Please, Armin said through the bars separating him from the front seat. You're arresting the wrong person. The officer driving didn't respond. But the officer in the passenger seat turned slightly. You should have thought about that before killing a man. Armin's stomach twisted. I didn't kill anyone. The officer held up his phone. A photo appeared on the screen. It showed a man lying on the floor of the nightclub. Blood spreading across his shirt. Armin recognized him instantly. The journalist. No, Armin whispered. The officer spoke coldly. That man was shot during the incident at the club. Armin shook his head. That wasn't me. One of Kamal's men. We have witnesses, the officer interrupted. Multiple people saw a person matching your description running away from the victim. Armin felt sick. But I was trying to escape. The officer shrugged. Tell it to the judge. At the police station. 30 minutes later, Armin sat in a cold interrogation room. The makeup on his face had begun to smear from the rain. The red dress felt ridiculous now. A detective entered the room. He placed a file on the table. My name is Detective Imran Farouk, he said. Armin looked up desperately. Detective, please listen to me. Imran opened the file calmly. You're Armin Qureshi. Junior accountant at Silvercrest Logistics. Yes. You were at Velvet Pulse tonight. Yes. And a man was shot during that time. Armin nodded nervously. But I didn't. Detective Imran slid a photo across the table. It showed security footage from inside the club. Armin felt his stomach drop. The footage showed him standing near the journalist. Moments before the gunshot. Looks bad, the detective said. Armin leaned forward. You don't understand. That man was helping me expose a criminal network. Which network? Kamal Siddiqui's. The detective paused. Then leaned back in his chair. That's a serious accusation. It's the truth. Armin quickly explained everything, the financial records, the threats, the flash drive. The detective listened silently. When Armin finished, the room fell quiet. Finally, Detective Imran spoke. Do you still have the flash drive? Armin hesitated. No. I lost it while running. The detective sighed. That's unfortunate. A dangerous truth. Detective Imran closed the files slowly. You see the problem, Armin? What problem? You're accusing a very powerful man. Armin leaned forward. Because he's guilty. Imran's expression hardened. Or maybe you're trying to blame someone else for murder. Armin felt panic rising again. I swear I didn't shoot him. The detective studied him carefully. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then the detective quietly said something unexpected. I believe you. Armin blinked. You do. Imran nodded slightly. But believing you isn't enough. Then help me prove it. Imran stood up. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. Armin frowned. What do you mean? The detective leaned closer. Because something about this case doesn't make sense. What? The bullet that killed the journalist. Imran tapped the file. Didn't come from the gun fired inside the club. Armin's heart skipped. Then where did it come from? Imran looked him directly in the eyes. From outside. The conspiracy. Armin's mind raced. Outside of the club? Imran nodded. The angle of the shot doesn't match the shooter inside. Armin slowly realized what that meant. Kamal planned it, he whispered. Imran didn't respond. But his silence said enough. Then arrest him. Armin said. Imran gave a humorless laugh. If it were that simple, he'd already be in prison. So what do we do? Imran leaned against the table. We need proof. Armin suddenly remembered something. My purse. What about it? The flash drive was inside. And? I threw it at Kamal before running. Imran's eyes widened slightly. So Kamal has the evidence now. Armin nodded slowly. Which means he'll destroy it. Imran walked to the door. We don't have much time. Armin's hope flickered again. You're going after him? Imran paused. Then said something chilling. No. Why not? Imran looked back at him. Because Kamal Siddiqui was found dead an hour ago. Armin stared at him. Dead? What? Imran's voice was calm. Shot in the chest. Armin felt the room spin. That's impossible, he was alive when the police arrived. Imran nodded. Yes. And now he's not. Silence filled the room. Then the detective said the words that made Armin's blood run cold. And guess whose fingerprints were found on the murder weapon? The terrifying reveal. Imran slowly placed another photo on the table. It showed a handgun inside an evidence bag. Armin stared at it. Then his eyes widened. He recognized it. It was the gun that one of Kamal's men had been holding in the alley. How? Armin whispered. Imran's voice dropped. Your fingerprints are all over it. Armin felt the world collapse. I never touched that gun. Imran studied him carefully. That's what you need to convince the court. Armin's breathing became shallow. Someone had framed him. But who? And how? Imran turned off the light and walked toward the door. We'll talk again tomorrow. The door opened. Then closed. Leaving Armin alone in darkness. And suddenly, he heard a quiet voice from the corner of the room. A voice he recognized instantly. Rough night, Armin. Armin's blood froze. Because that voice belonged to someone who should be dead. The journalist. Cliffhanger. Armin slowly turned toward the dark corner. The journalist stepped into the dim light. Alive. Smiling. And holding the flash drive. I think, the journalist said calmly. It's time you learned the truth. The interrogation room was silent except for the faint buzzing of the fluorescent light. Armin stared at the man standing in the corner. The journalist. Alive. It made no sense. I saw you get shot, Armin whispered. The journalist stepped forward slowly, adjusting his gray jacket. You saw someone get shot, he said calmly. But you didn't see who. Armin's heart raced. But the police showed me your body. Did they? The journalist asked. Armin tried to remember the photo clearly. The image had been blurry, taken from a distance, the face barely visible. The journalist smiled slightly. Photos can be very misleading. Armin leaned forward. Who are you? The man hesitated. Then he extended his hand. My real name is Raza Haider. The hidden truth. Raza pulled out the chair across from Armin and sat down. I'm not a journalist, he said quietly. Then what are you? Raza leaned closer. I work undercover. Armin frowned. For who? Raza lowered his voice. For a special investigative unit inside the government. Armin blinked. You're an agent? Raza nodded. For the past 2 years, I've been gathering evidence against Kamal Siddiqui. Armin felt a wave of confusion. But Kamal is dead now. Yes. And the police think I killed him. Raza sighed. That part is complicated. The setup. Raza placed the flash drive on the table. You did something very dangerous, Armin. I know. You accidentally uncovered one of the biggest money laundering operations in the country. Armin looked at the flash drive. So this really contains proof? More than proof, Raza said. It contains the entire financial network. Armin suddenly understood. That's why Kamal wanted it so badly. Raza nodded. But Kamal wasn't the real problem. Armin frowned. What do you mean? Raza leaned back. Kamal was just the front man. The words hit Armin like a punch. Front man, for who? Raza's face grew serious. For someone much more powerful. The bigger enemy. Armin felt a chill run through him. Who? Raza hesitated. Someone inside the government. Armin's heart skipped. That's impossible. Raza shook his head slowly. I wish it were. Armin looked toward the door nervously. You mean someone in the police? Raza gave a small, grim smile. You're starting to understand. Armin's mind raced through the events of the night. The police ignoring Kamal. The sudden murder charge. The planted fingerprints. Someone powerful was protecting the operation. And framing Armin. But why kill Kamal? Armin asked. Raza answered quietly. To silence him. The real murder. Armin leaned forward. Then who actually shot him? Raza looked directly into his eyes. The same person who framed you. Armin swallowed. Who? Before Raza could answer, the interrogation room door suddenly opened. Both men turned. Standing in the doorway was Detective Imran Farouk. His expression was cold. And in his hand was a gun. The betrayal. Imran stepped inside slowly. Well, he said. This is awkward. Armin felt his chest tighten. Detective. Raza stood up calmly. So it's you. Imran smiled faintly. You always were observant, Raza. Armin looked between them in shock. You two know each other? Raza nodded. Yes. Imran closed the door behind him. We've been playing this little game for a long time. Armin's voice trembled. You're the one behind this? Imran shrugged. Behind some of it. You killed Kamal? Armin asked. Imran didn't deny it. He was becoming a liability. Armin's stomach twisted. You framed me. Imran pointed the gun casually. You were convenient. The dark plan. Raza stepped slightly in front of Armin. This is over, Imran. Imran laughed. Is it? He gestured toward the flash drive. That evidence belongs to me. Raza shook his head. You're finished. Am I? Imran replied calmly. He tapped the gun against his palm. Let's be realistic. Raza narrowed his eyes. What are you planning? Imran's smile grew darker. A tragic ending. Armin felt panic rising again. What do you mean? Imran spoke casually. The official report will say that Armin Qureshi confessed to both murders. Armin's heart stopped. And then, Imran continued, he attacked an officer and was shot while trying to escape. Raza's voice hardened. You won't get away with that. Imran tilted his head. Who's going to stop me? The deadly moment. The room became deadly quiet. Rain tapped softly against the window. Imran raised the gun, pointing it directly at Armin. Goodbye, Armin. Everything seemed to slow down. Armin closed his eyes. This was the end. Then, a loud crash shattered the silence. The window behind Imran exploded inward. Glass flew across the room. Imran spun around in shock. And a voice shouted from outside. Drop the weapon. The unexpected arrival. Armin opened his eyes. Several armed officers had surrounded the building outside. Laser sights pointed through the broken window. Imran's expression changed instantly. You called them, he said quietly to Raza. Raza smirked. I always have a backup plan. Imran looked around carefully. His escape routes were gone. For a moment, it seemed like the situation was over. Then something unexpected happened. Imran suddenly grabbed Armin and pulled him in front of himself, using him as a shield. The gun pressed against Armin's head. The officers outside froze. Stay back. Imran shouted. Armin felt the cold barrel against his temple. His heart pounded violently. Imran slowly backed toward the door. You're not leaving here, Raza warned. Imran smiled. Oh, I think I am. He opened the door slowly, dragging Armin with him, and whispered in his ear. If I'm going down, you're coming with me. Cliffhanger. Imran pulled Armin into the hallway. Sirens echoed through the police station. Officers shouted in the distance. Raza followed cautiously. Let him go, Imran. Imran laughed softly. You're too late. Then he pressed the gun harder against Armin's head. And said the words that made Armin's blood freeze. There's a bomb in this building. The hallway of the police station felt suddenly smaller, tighter, suffocating. Imran's arm locked around Armin's neck as he dragged him forward, the cold barrel of the gun pressed firmly against his temple. There's a bomb in this building, Imran repeated calmly. For a moment, no one spoke. Behind them, Raza Haider stepped cautiously into the hallway, his hands slightly raised. You're bluffing, Raza said. Imran chuckled softly. I wish I were. Armin's throat went dry. A bomb, he whispered. Imran leaned closer to his ear. 30 minutes ago, I planted it in the evidence room. Armin's heart began pounding even harder. The evidence room. That meant all the case files, all the proof, everything. Gone. Panic in the station. Alarms suddenly began blaring through the police station. Red emergency lights flashed across the walls. Officers rushed through the corridors, shouting orders. What's happening? Evacuate the building. Move. Move. Imran smiled as the chaos unfolded around him. Perfect timing. Raza kept his eyes locked on him. You're not getting away. Imran shrugged. I don't need to get away forever. I just need to get away tonight. Armin struggled slightly. Why are you doing this? Imran answered casually. Because people like Kamal were making me very rich. And now. Imran's voice hardened. Now someone ruined that. His eyes shifted briefly toward Armin. The terrible realization. Raza spoke carefully. Listen to me, Imran. Imran didn't respond. If the bomb explodes, Raza continued, you'll destroy the evidence against you. That's the idea. But you'll also destroy your escape. Imran smirked. Not if I leave before it goes off. Armin's mind raced. How much time? He asked quietly. Imran glanced at his watch. About 12 minutes. Armin felt dizzy. 12 minutes. That wasn't enough time for the entire station to evacuate. People could die. Raza seemed to realize the same thing. Where exactly is the bomb? He asked. Imran shook his head. Nice try. The desperate gamble. They reached the back exit of the police station. Rain was still falling outside. Police vehicles filled the parking lot. But officers were now rushing out of the building. The evacuation had begun. Imran slowly pushed the door open. Cold air rushed inside. Time to go, he said. Raza stepped closer. If you walk out that door, it's over. Imran raised an eyebrow. Is that a threat? No, Raza replied calmly. It's a fact. Imran laughed. You still don't understand. He pressed the gun harder against Armin's head. I control the situation. Armin suddenly spoke. Not anymore. Imran frowned slightly. What? Armin took a slow breath. You forgot something. Imran narrowed his eyes. What did I forget? Armin's voice was calm now. The flash drive. Imran glanced toward Raza. The evidence? Armin nodded. You still don't have it. Imran smiled again. After the explosion, it won't matter. But Raza shook his head. You're wrong. Imran frowned. Why? Raza reached into his jacket. And pulled out a small device. A remote transmitter. Imran's expression changed instantly. What is that? Raza answered calmly. A signal jammer. The twist. Imran's grip on Armin tightened. What did you do? Raza spoke clearly. The bomb you planted uses a wireless trigger. Imran said nothing. So I blocked the signal, Raza continued. For the last 10 minutes, your bomb hasn't been receiving commands. Imran's eyes widened slightly. That's impossible. Raza smiled faintly. You should check your watch. Imran slowly looked down. His confident expression faded. Then disappeared completely. Armin realized something. If the signal is blocked, he said slowly. The timer isn't working. Raza nodded. Exactly. Imran stared at the device in disbelief. The bomb isn't counting down, Raza finished. The hallway fell silent. For the first time all night. Imran looked nervous. The final standoff. Police officers began appearing at the far end of the hallway. Weapons raised. Drop your weapon, one officer shouted. Imran backed toward the door again. Still holding Armin. But now his confidence was gone. You're surrounded, Raza said calmly. Imran's breathing became heavier. Let him go, Raza continued. It's finished. Imran looked down at Armin. Then back at the approaching officers. His eyes darted around the hallway. Searching for a way out. But there wasn't one. Finally. Imran sighed. Well, he said quietly. Looks like the game is over. Slowly. He lowered the gun. And released Armin. Officers rushed forward instantly. They tackled Imran to the ground. Handcuffs snapped around his wrists. Armin stumbled back, breathing hard. It was finally over. Or so he thought. The shocking discovery. An officer ran toward Raza. Sir. What is it? Raza asked. We checked the evidence room. And? There's no bomb. Raza frowned. What? The officer looked confused. There's nothing there. Armin felt his stomach drop again. He turned slowly toward Imran. Imran was lying on the floor, handcuffed. And smiling. A slow, terrifying smile. Raza stepped closer. You lied about the bomb. Imran laughed softly. Oh, there is a bomb. Raza's expression hardened. Where? Imran looked directly at Armin. And said the words that made the world stop. On him. Cliffhanger. Every officer in the hallway froze. Slowly. All eyes turned toward Armin. His heart nearly stopped. What? He whispered. Imran grinned from the floor. Check the purse. Armin looked down. The purse he had thrown earlier was now hanging from his shoulder again. And suddenly, a faint beeping sound started coming from inside it. The hallway fell into complete silence. Everyone stared at Armin. And the purse hanging from his shoulder. Beep. A small electronic sound came from inside. Armin's blood turned cold. I didn't put anything in there, he whispered. The officers instinctively stepped backward. One shouted, everyone move back. But Raza Haider didn't move. His eyes stayed fixed on the purse. Armin, he said calmly, don't panic. Armin's hands trembled. It's beeping. I know. Beep. The sound was louder now. Imran lay on the floor laughing quietly. I told you, he said. I always finish my plans. An officer aimed his gun at Imran. How do we stop it? Imran smirked. You don't. The terrifying truth. Raza moved slowly toward Armin. Don't touch the purse yet, he said. Armin felt dizzy. Is it really a bomb? Raza didn't answer immediately. Instead, he carefully unzipped the purse slightly. The beeping became clearer. Inside was a small black device. A digital screen blinked red numbers. 2:17. 2 minutes. Armin's knees nearly gave out. Oh God. Officers began shouting again. Evacuate. Clear the hallway. Footsteps thundered through the building. Within seconds, the corridor emptied, except for 3 people. Armin, Raza, and Imran. The confrontation. Raza looked at Imran. You're insane. Imran shrugged from the floor. You ruined everything I built. So you're going to kill innocent people? Imran smiled. No. He pointed at Armin. Just him. Armin stared at him in disbelief. Why me? Imran's voice hardened. Because you started this. The timer continued ticking. 1:46. Raza knelt in front of Armin. Listen carefully. Armin nodded frantically. I'm not a bomb technician, Raza said. That's not comforting. But I do know one thing. What? Raza pointed to the wires inside the device. There's a manual trigger. Armin swallowed. And? If we disconnect the power supply, the bomb stops? Maybe. Armin stared at him. Maybe. The impossible choice. The timer dropped again. 1:21. Raza studied the wires carefully. Red. Blue. Yellow. Black. Classic bomb wiring. Imran chuckled. Go ahead. Raza ignored him. Armin's breathing became fast and shallow. What do I do? You need to hold the device steady. Armin slowly reached into the purse. His hands shook violently. Like this? Yes. Raza took a deep breath. There are 2 wires connected to the battery. Which one? Raza stared carefully. I'm not sure. Imran laughed again. Tick-tock. The timer read. 0:52. Armin felt sweat running down his face. I'm going to die. Raza shook his head. Not tonight. The critical moment. Raza pointed carefully. Cut the blue wire. Armin stared at him. You're guessing. Yes. That's terrifying. Trust me. Armin looked at the timer. 0:37. His hands trembled as he grabbed a small knife from the desk nearby. He held it near the blue wire. What if you're wrong? Raza didn't hesitate. Then we both disappear in about 30 seconds. Imran smiled wider. Please hurry. The final seconds. The timer flashed. 0:21. Armin closed his eyes for a moment. His entire life flashed through his mind. The quiet accountant life. The discovery of the files. The disguise. The nightclub. The chaos. Everything. All leading to this moment. He took a deep breath. And cut the blue wire. For one terrifying second. Nothing happened. Then the timer suddenly stopped. 0:19. Frozen. Silent. The beeping ended. The bomb was defused. The end of the game. The hallway remained quiet. Armin slowly opened his eyes. It stopped. Raza exhaled heavily. You did it. Armin almost collapsed with relief. Officers rushed back into the hallway. Is it safe? Raza nodded. Yes. 2 officers lifted Imran from the floor. His smile had finally disappeared. Raza leaned down close to him. It's over. Imran said nothing. For the first time. He looked defeated. 1 week later. The morning sun shone through the windows of a small cafe. Armin sat at a table wearing simple clothes again. No wig. No dress. Just himself. Across from him sat Raza. The news on the television behind them played headlines. Major corruption network exposed. Senior police officer arrested. Financial evidence reveals massive laundering scheme. The flash drive had done its job. Raza took a sip of coffee. You handled all of this better than most trained agents. Armin laughed nervously. I almost blew up. True. They both smiled slightly. Armin leaned back in his chair. So what happens now? Raza shrugged. You go back to your normal life. Armin thought about that. After everything that happened, normal felt very different. Then he smiled slightly. You know, something strange happened that night. What? Armin chuckled. I started the night terrified in that disguise. And? By the end, I wasn't scared anymore. Raza raised an eyebrow. Confident? Armin nodded. Confident. Raza laughed. Well, it was certainly an unforgettable first experience. Armin smiled. Yes. Then he added quietly. But next time. Raza frowned. Next time? Armin grinned. I'm choosing a less dangerous adventure. The end.